WordPress 7.0 shipped the feature people have been asking for since the block editor existed. You can now click any block, open the advanced panel, and write custom CSS for that one block. No child theme, no style sheet, no plugin. It just works. And it renders live while you type. And I think a lot of you are going to mess up your sites with these features. Not today, not next week. About 8 or 9 months from now, when you open a site you built and realize you have no idea where half of the styling is coming from. So let's talk about what this feature actually does, why the excitement is justified, and then the part nobody is covering. The specific ways this quietly turns into technical debt. And the one rule that keeps you out of trouble. First, credit where it's due, because I don't want this to sound like I am against the feature. I am not. It closes a real gap. And here is the gap. Since WordPress 6.2 Global Styles has let you write custom CSS for a block type. All buttons, all headings, all image blocks. That's site-wide. And it lives in one place. That's been fine. What you couldn't do was target one specific block. One button on one landing page that needs to be a different color. One image that needs a little extra breathing room. To do that, you had to add a custom class, then go write CSS somewhere else. Maybe a child theme, the additional CSS panel, or even using a plugin. And then you need to remember forever that the class and the rules live in two different places. WordPress 7.0 removes that round trip. The CSS lives on the block. You write it there, you see it immediately. That's genuinely good. It's the right feature. The problem is not the feature. It's what happens when people use it as their default instead of their exception. So here is the problem number one, and it's the big one. That CSS is stored inside the block itself, which means it travels. You can duplicate the block and the CSS comes with it. If you copy it to another page, the CSS comes with it. If you save it into a pattern and reuse that pattern across the website, the CSS comes along every single time. That sounds like a feature. It reads like a feature, and for a one-off, yes, it is. But follow the logic. You style a call to action button, you added nice gradient, custom shadow, rounded exactly how you like it. It looks great, so you copy it, and you copy it again 6 months or 12 months later. That button exists on 40 pages or 50 pages. Now, the client changes their brand color. In a style sheet, that's just one line. One line, one deploy, you're done. With per block CSS, that's 40 blocks, 50 blocks. 40 pages, you have to remember exist. And there is no find and replace across all custom blocks for one particular CSS button in our WordPress. You are opening pages one at a time and hoping you didn't miss one. You didn't save time here. You borrowed it. And the interest rate is brutal. Okay, problem number two. This CSS is invisible to every tool you will be normally using to understand a website. Think about how you actually debug a WordPress website you didn't build. You look at the theme files, you will be checking additional CSS, then you will be looking at what plugins are loaded, you grab the code base. Now, block level CSS shows up in none of that. It's not in your theme, it's not in a style sheet, it's stored in the post content, in the database, sitting inside the block markup on whatever page happens to use it. So when something looks broken and you go hunting for that specific rule that's causing this issue, your search returns nothing. The code is fine, the theme is fine, and the style is still there because it's baked into a page you have not opened yet. If you use version control and if you are building sites for money, I hope you are definitely doing it. None of this is tracked. Your Git history has no idea any of it happened. You cannot review it, you cannot roll it back, you cannot diff it. You have moved presentation or the styling out of your code base and into your content. That's not a small thing. That's the separation of content and styling or your presentation, which is the whole reason why CSS exists, quietly going backwards. Problem number 3 is that handoff problem. And this once is very specifically for the freelancers and agencies. You build a site, you hand it off. 6 months later, someone else touches it. Maybe another developer, the client's nephew, or the future you who is just forgotten everything. That person opens the theme, reads it, and forms a mental model of how the site is styled. And the model is wrong because 40% of the real styling is scattered across individual blocks on individual pages, and nothing in the theme tells them that. They all fight it. They will write a rule in the theme and it won't take because inline block styles are more specific, so they will have to add important flag. Now the site has two competing styling systems, one of which is invisible, and the specificity war just begun. I have cleaned up sites like this. It's not fun and it's not cheap, and it's it's usually not billable because you cannot explain the invoice. Problem number 4 is smaller but worth noting. Not every block will offer this. Block developers can opt out of the custom CSS field in their block configuration. So if you build a workflow around styling everything this way, this block way, you are going to hit a block from a plugin that just doesn't have the field. And you're back to writing real CSS once again anyway, except for now inconsistently. And permissions. Only users with the edit CSS capability see this field. Typically administrators and editors of your WordPress website, which is a reasonable default, but it means that if your client edits their own pages as an editor, they can now write CSS directly on the live website with no review, no staging, and no undo beyond a revision. Think about whether you want that before you hand over the keys. Okay, so when should you use it? 3 situations, and they are all real. The first is the actual one-off. One block, one page, styled differently on purpose, and it will be never repeated. A campaign landing page, a single promo section, or something with a short life and no siblings. That is exactly what this feature was built for, and using a child theme for it was always overkill. The second is prototyping. This is the use I'm most excited about, honestly. You're trying to figure out spacing or a shadow or how a hover state should feel. Doing that in a style sheet means edit, save, refresh, reload, repeat, everything. Doing it in this block panel is very instant. Use it as you type. So prototype there, get it exactly right what you want, and then this is the part. Move it into your theme once you know the answer. The block panel is a sketch pad, not the final drawing. The third is genuinely short-lived content on a website where you don't control the theme. Sometimes that's just the reality of the job. Fine, use it and know what you're accepting. Which brings me to the rule. If you take one thing from this video, take this. The third time you write the same CSS in a block panel, it doesn't belong in a block panel. First time, it's a one-off. Second time, it's a coincidence. Third time, it's a pattern. And patterns belong in your theme or in a global style at the block type level, where one edit changes everything at once, every block. That's it. That's the whole discipline. It costs you nothing and it will save you an entire category of pain. The feature is not the problem. Using an exception tool as your default is the problem. Every styling system that ever collapsed under its own weight collapsed the same way, not from one bad decision, but from 400 small convenient ones that nobody wrote down. Use it deliberately, promote it when it repeats, and know that in 8 months, 9 months, or 1 year, the person opening that site will be probably you. And if this changed your mind about how you were planning to use this custom CSS feature, the subscribe button costs you nothing and it helps me a lot. Thanks for watching.